Dr. Tom Reed hunched over his microscope in the xenobiology lab aboard the Galactic Union research vessel Inquiry. His brow furrowed as he adjusted the focus, examining the cellular structure of the newest member species to join the interstellar community, humans. "This can't be right," he muttered, pulling back from the eyepiece and running a hand through his gray-streaked hair. His assistant, Lox, a tall, six-limbed Arcturian with iridescent skin, glided over. "What troubles you, Doctor?" "These human samples. I've run the analysis 3 times now, and I keep getting the same bizarre results." Tom gestured to the holographic display hovering above his workstation. "Look at this immune system. It's chaotic, aggressive, almost like it was cobbled together from multiple different design philosophies." Lox's compound eyes widened as they studied the display. "Fascinating. It's nothing like the elegant simplicity we see in most sentient species." "That's just it," Tom said, pulling up comparison charts. "Most species in the Union evolved with logical, efficient biological systems. But humans? Their biology is a mess of contradictions and inefficiencies." The door to the lab slid open, and Captain Wren walked in. As one of the few humans aboard the Inquiry, she had become the unofficial ambassador for her species. "I heard you've been burning the midnight oil, Doctor," she said with a smile. "Any breakthroughs on why we humans are so— what was the term your colleagues used? Biologically perplexing?" Tom straightened. "Captain, your species shouldn't be able to function as well as it does. Your spines aren't optimized for bipedal locomotion. Your breathing and eating tubes cross in a way that creates choking hazards, and your reproductive systems are intertwined with waste elimination. From an evolutionary standpoint, it's madness," Captain Wren laughed. "Well, we've managed to make it work for a few 100,000 years." "That's just it," Tom said, excitement creeping into his voice. "You've done more than make it work. Humans have thrived in conditions that would kill most species. Your pain tolerance, endurance, and adaptive capabilities are off the charts compared to Union standards." Lox moved to another console and brought up more data. "Doctor, you should see these stress response readings. Humans produce adrenaline in quantities that would cause cardiac arrest in similar-sized species." Tom nodded vigorously. "And that's just the beginning. Captain, your species can consume substances that would be lethal to most sentient beings. Caffeine, capsaicin, ethanol, and you do it for pleasure." "Don't forget chocolate," Captain Wren added with a grin. "Half the Union species would die if they ate a candy bar." "Precisely," Tom said. "It's as if human biology wasn't designed for efficiency but for resilience, adaptability, survival at all costs." The captain's smile faded slightly. Earth wasn't always a kind place to evolve. An alert chimed on Tom's console. The latest genetic analysis had completed. As the 3 gathered around to view the results, a stunned silence fell over the lab. "This can't be possible," Lox whispered. The display showed human DNA strands with highlighted sections. Scattered throughout were genetic markers that didn't match any known evolutionary pattern. Pieces that looked almost engineered, rather than evolved. "Captain," Tom said slowly, "I believe we may have discovered why human biology is so unusual. These genetic markers suggest interference." Captain Wren's eyes narrowed. "Are you suggesting humans were, what, experiments?" "I don't know," Tom admitted. "But whatever the reason, your species' messy biology might be the greatest mystery, and possibly the greatest asset, the Galactic Union has ever encountered." Admiral Gorth of the Vexari fleet slammed a scaled fist onto the conference table. The gathered military leadership of 6 species flinched collectively. "Impossible!" he roared. "No species survives Deathworld assimilation. The reports must be propaganda." Fleet Intelligence Officer Mira, a diminutive Solarian with luminous skin, cleared her throat. "With respect, Admiral, the data is verified. The human mining colony on Proxima B was exposed to Deathworld spores for 72 hours before quarantine protocols could be established. According to all previous encounters, no survivors should remain." "And yet?" prompted General Dex, his facial tentacles twitching with interest. "And yet," Mira continued, 87% of the human colonists are not only alive but showing remarkable recovery patterns. They're developing resistance to the spores. A murmur rippled through the assembled officers. Death World spores had decimated 3 civilizations in the past century alone. No species had ever demonstrated immunity. How is this possible? Asked Science Director Pell, adjusting her breathing apparatus. The spores hijack cellular reproduction. It's a fundamental biological process. The door to the conference room slid open, and Dr. Tom Reed entered, followed by Captain Wren. Both looked exhausted, but triumphant. "We believe we have an answer," Tom announced, nodding respectfully to the gathered military leaders. "And it's directly related to why human biology appears so inefficient by Union standards." He activated the room's holographic display, showing simplified models of various species' immune responses alongside humans. "Most Union species evolved in relatively stable environments," Tom explained. "Their biological systems are elegant, efficient, specialized. Humans, however, evolved through multiple catastrophic extinction events on Earth. Their biology isn't inefficient, it's redundant." Captain Wren stepped forward. "Think of it this way. Most species build perfect machines. Humans build machines, with backup systems, emergency protocols, and the ability to function even when parts of the system fail." Tom nodded. "Exactly. Human immune systems are chaotic because they've retained multiple defensive strategies from throughout their evolutionary history. When one system fails against a new pathogen, another takes over," Admiral Gorth finished, understanding dawning in his reptilian eyes. "But that's not all," Tom continued. "The genetic anomalies we discovered suggest humans may have been modified at some point in their distant past, not fully engineered, but enhanced for survival." The room fell silent as the implications sank in. "By whom?" General Dex finally asked. "We don't know," Captain Wren admitted. "Earth has no records of advanced civilizations before humans. It's a mystery." Admiral Gorth rose to his full, imposing height. "A mystery that could save trillions of lives. The Death World spores have been spreading toward the core systems. If humans have natural resistance, we're already synthesizing a treatment based on human antibodies," Tom confirmed. "But more importantly, we believe human biology might hold the key to resisting other biological threats. Their messy, redundant systems make them incredibly difficult to target on a species-wide level." Science Director Pell's breathing quickened with excitement. "You're suggesting humans could be the ultimate biological firewall for the Union?" "I'm suggesting," Tom said carefully, "that what looks like evolutionary chaos might actually be an unparalleled survival advantage. The very things that make human biology seem inefficient could be what saves us all." Captain Wren straightened her uniform. "My people are prepared to assist in any way possible. Earth has authorized emergency protocols to establish human medical facilities throughout threatened systems." Admiral Gorth nodded gravely. "Then perhaps the universe has a sense of humor after all. The species we least expected, with the most perplexing biology, may be our last line of defense. Or," Tom added quietly, "perhaps whoever modified humans long ago knew exactly what they were doing." The research outpost on Kepler 186f buzzed with nervous energy. Outside the reinforced windows, a storm raged across the barren landscape, winds howling at speeds that would strip flesh from bone. Inside, a team of scientists from across the Galactic Union huddled around monitoring equipment, watching in disbelief as a lone figure moved through the tempest. "Vital signs still stable," reported Dr. Mox, tapping at the biomonitor. "Lieutenant, Gray's core temperature has dropped only 2 degrees despite external temperatures of -70 Celsius. Commander Pike, the outpost leader, shook his head in wonderment. No environmental suit could withstand those conditions. How is he doing this? Dr. Tom Reed observed the scene with growing fascination. In the 6 months since the discovery of humanity's unusual biology, he'd witnessed increasingly remarkable demonstrations of human adaptability. But this test pushed boundaries even he hadn't considered. The comms crackled. "Base, this is Gray. I've reached the geological sampling site. Beginning collection now." The lieutenant's voice was strained, but coherent, impossible for any other Union species exposed to such conditions. "Acknowledged, Lieutenant," Commander Pike responded. "Work quickly. You've been exposed for 22 minutes already." Tom studied the biological readouts more closely. "Look at his cellular response," he murmured to Captain Wren, who stood beside him. His body is actively restructuring to cope with the cold. Temporary micro-adaptations happening in real time. Hibernation adaptations, Wren confirmed. Old evolutionary response from Earth's ice ages. Most humans don't even know they have this capability until it's triggered by extreme conditions. The storm intensified, and the outpost's structure groaned. Under the assault, on the monitors, Lieutenant Gray could be seen securing samples into a specialized container. "We need to bring him in," Dr. Mox insisted. "Even with human resilience, there are limits." As if on cue, the lieutenant's vital signs spiked dangerously. "Base," he gasped over the comms. "Something's wrong. My extremities are—" The transmission cut out. "Emergency extraction," Commander Pike barked. "Launch the recovery drone." "It won't survive those winds," an engineer protested. "Then what do we do?" Dr. Mox demanded. "We can't just let him die out there." The room fell silent as Captain Wren began removing her outpost jacket. "I'm going after him." "Captain, no," Tom protested. "Even for a human, those conditions are lethal." Wren's expression was grimly determined. "Remember what you discovered about our messy biology, Doctor. We have emergency systems within emergency systems." She pulled a small injector from a secure case. "This adrenaline compound will trigger what we call hysterical strength, a survival override that temporarily bypasses our body's normal limitations." "The cellular damage would be catastrophic," Tom argued. "But temporary," Wren countered. "Our redundant systems can repair damage that would kill other species." She moved toward the airlock. "Have medical ready. We'll both need it." Before anyone could stop her, Captain Wren injected herself, gasped as the compound hit her system, and cycled through the airlock into the howling storm. The outpost crew watched in stunned silence as Wren's vital signs surged to levels that would cause immediate organ failure in any other species. On the exterior cameras, they could see her moving with impossible speed through the storm, following Lieutenant Gray's tracker signal. "This is why they survive," Commander Pike murmured. "It's not just their unusual biology. It's their willingness to use it. Consequences be damned." 17 excruciating minutes later, the airlock cycled again. Captain Wren stumbled through, carrying Lieutenant Gray's unconscious form. Both humans were blue with cold, bleeding from numerous wind lacerations, but alive. Medical teams rushed forward as both humans collapsed. "Get them to cellular regeneration immediately," Tom ordered, helping lift Wren onto a stretcher. "And preserve tissue samples. We need to document this adaptation process." As they were rushed to medical, Commander Pike approached Tom. "I've served with many species, Doctor, but I've never seen anything like that. The captain's body temperature dropped to levels that would kill any of us." "Humans call it riding the edge," Tom explained, watching the medical team work. "Their bodies can temporarily endure conditions far beyond their normal tolerances, then recover from damage that would be permanent in other species." "A messy solution," Pike observed. "But an effective one," Tom replied. "And perhaps the reason? Humans were modified in the first place, to push the boundaries of biological endurance beyond what natural evolution would allow." The geological samples Lieutenant Gray had retrieved sat secured on a nearby table. Inside the container, crystals glowed with an energy signature unlike anything the Union had seen before. Potential salvation for their ongoing energy crisis. A salvation that only humans, with their chaotic, resilient biology, could have retrieved. The Galactic Union Medical Congress had never been so crowded. Representatives from all 317 member species packed the grand auditorium on Centauri Prime, their attention fixed on the elevated platform where Dr. Tom Reed stood beside a holographic display of human digestive systems. "What you're seeing," Tom explained to the assembled delegates, "is perhaps the most perplexing aspect of human biology. Their ability to process and derive nutrition from an extraordinary range of substances, many of which are toxic to other species." The hologram shifted to show a comparison between standard Union species' digestive tracts and the human equivalent. While most evolved species have highly specialized digestive systems optimized for specific food sources, Tom continued, humans possess what we're calling an opportunistic omnivore configuration. They can consume everything from fungi to fruits, from animal proteins to complex carbohydrates, sometimes all in the same meal. A ripple of both disgust and fascination moved through the audience. More remarkably, Tom added, humans routinely consume substances that should be lethal. They drink alcohol, essentially poison, for recreation. They flavor foods with capsaicin, a compound that triggers pain receptors. They even consume caffeine, a potent insecticide, to stay alert. Professor Lin, a respected Procyon physiologist, raised a slender appendage. If I may, Dr. Reed, how is this advantageous? Such a system must require enormous energy to maintain. An excellent question, Tom acknowledged. And the answer leads us back to our ongoing investigation into human biological peculiarities. Humans evolved on a planet with wildly varying food sources. Their digestive adaptability allowed them to survive when specialized feeders would starve. The hologram shifted again, showing a molecular animation. But here's where it gets truly interesting. Human digestive cells can identify and isolate beneficial compounds even from toxic sources. We're calling this process nutritional opportunism, and it's unlike anything we've seen in other species. Captain Wren, now fully recovered from her rescue mission months earlier, stepped forward. To put it simply, humans can find value in foods that would kill other species. This same principle extends beyond digestion. We find opportunities in hostile environments, extract benefits from dangerous situations. Tom nodded. This biological trait has profound implications for Union medicine. Human digestive mechanisms are already helping us develop treatments for previously incurable conditions. He gestured, and the hologram changed to display medical statistics. Using synthesized human digestive enzymes, we've successfully treated Rigelian metabolic collapse in early trials. A condition that previously had a 92% mortality rate now shows a 76% recovery rate. The auditorium erupted in excited discussion. Medical breakthroughs of this magnitude were exceedingly rare. Ambassador Thel, representing the Vegan Confederation, rose to his feet. His species had suffered greatly from Rigelian metabolic collapse. Dr. Reed, are you suggesting human biology could be the key to treating other intractable conditions? That's exactly what I'm suggesting, Tom confirmed. But even more importantly, we believe human digestive adaptability may help address the looming food crisis in the outer rim sectors. Using human-derived processing techniques, we can potentially convert previously inedible biological matter into nutritionally complete sustenance. The implications weren't lost on the assembly. The outer rim's agricultural collapse had pushed dozens of worlds to the brink of famine. There's more, Captain Wren said, taking over the presentation. The seemingly inefficient human digestive system contains multiple redundancies. If one pathway fails, others compensate. This makes humans remarkably resistant to many biological weapons and pathogens that target metabolic processes. Tom displayed a final graphic, a map of the galaxy with affected zones highlighted. The Union faces unprecedented biological threats, from the Death World spores to the Rigelian collapse to food insecurity. Human biology, with all its messy inefficiencies, may offer solutions to all of these crises. As the presentation concluded, Tom shared a meaningful glance with Captain Wren. Neither mentioned their growing suspicion that the genetic modifications they'd discovered in humans seemed perfectly tailored to address precisely these kinds of galaxy-wide threats, almost as if whoever had modified humanity had foreseen these challenges thousands of years in advance. The military observation deck aboard the Union dreadnought Indomitable offered a panoramic view of the battle unfolding. In the void, energy weapons flashed against the blackness of space as the first major engagement against the swarm progressed. Admiral Gorth stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his scaled face impassive as he watched alongside an unlikely group. Dr. Tom Reed, Captain Wren, and General James West, the newly appointed human commander of the Union's 4th Fleet. The human ships are holding position at the gravity well, Admiral Gorth observed. A bold strategy. General West nodded. Bold, but calculated. The swarm vessels are faster in open space, but their maneuverability decreases in strong gravitational fields. On the tactical display, 20 human warships formed a tight defensive formation near a brown dwarf star. The swarm, a hostile collective of machine intelligences that had emerged from deep space 6 months ago, swarmed around them, probing for weaknesses. "I'm more interested in the crews," Tom said quietly. This is the first extended combat deployment of all human ships against the Swarm. The Swarm had proven nearly unbeatable in previous engagements. Their quantum-linked consciousness allowed for perfect coordination, and their ships emitted radiation that caused severe neurological disruption in most sentient species. Only humans had shown resistance to these effects. 3 hours of continuous combat, Captain Wren noted, checking the mission clock. Most Union species show significant cognitive decline after just 1 hour of exposure to swarm radiation. Admiral Gorth's facial ridges darkened, the equivalent of a human frown, and yet the human response times remain optimal. As they watched, the battle entered a new phase. The human fleet executed a complex maneuver, splitting their formation and creating what appeared to be a vulnerable gap. The swarm ships immediately altered course to exploit the opening. "Textbook flanking trap," General West commented with grim satisfaction. The human vessels suddenly reversed thrust, collapsing the formation and catching the lead swarm vessels in a devastating crossfire. 5 enemy ships erupted into silent explosions. "Impressive," Admiral Gorth acknowledged. But that tactic required split-second timing across 20 vessels. How did they coordinate so precisely under swarm interference? Tom brought up a display showing neural scans from the human crews. This is where human neurological inefficiency becomes an advantage. Most Union species have elegantly structured, specialized neural pathways. Swarm radiation disrupts these patterns easily. He highlighted sections of the human brain scans. Human brains, by contrast, are a messy network of redundant connections. When swarm radiation blocks one neural pathway, human thoughts simply reroute through alternate channels. Inefficient under normal circumstances, but remarkably resistant to disruption. "There's more to it than that," Captain Wren added. "Humans actually perform better under certain types of stress. Our bodies release compounds, adrenaline, norepinephrine, cortisol, that temporarily enhance our cognitive and physical capabilities in dangerous situations." Admiral Gorth's eyes widened. "You're saying humans become more effective in combat?" "To a point," General West clarified. "Extended exposure leads to fatigue, but for short, intense periods, yes, we're optimized for crisis response." On the tactical display, the battle continued to shift in the humans' favor. Their seemingly erratic maneuvers confused the swarm's predictive algorithms, while maintaining a cohesive strategy that only became apparent after each phase was executed. "Another neurological quirk," Tom explained, noting the Admiral's confusion. "Human thinking incorporates controlled randomness, intuition, creativity, gut feelings. The swarm's perfect logical calculations can't predict human illogical choices." Admiral Gorth watched as 3 more swarm vessels were destroyed by the human fleet. "These are not the traits of a naturally evolved species," he said quietly. "They're the traits of a species designed for warfare." "Or for survival against overwhelming odds," Captain Wren countered. "The same traits that make us good fighters also make us exceptional disaster responders, explorers of hostile environments, and adapters to changing circumstances." The tactical display flashed as the remaining swarm vessels began to retreat, having lost nearly 40% of their forces, while destroying only 2 human ships. "The question remains," Admiral Gorth said, turning to face the others. "If humans were indeed modified, as you believe, Dr. Reed, modified to withstand extinction-level threats and to fight unconquerable enemies, then who did this? And why create a species with such dangerous potential?" Tom had no answer. The mystery of humanity's origins grew more perplexing with each new discovery about their unusual biology. One thing, however, was becoming increasingly clear. Humans weren't just another member species of the Galactic Union. They were something else entirely. A wild card that might just save everything, or consume it. The reception hall of the Galactic Union headquarters on New Geneva buzzed with tension. Representatives from all member worlds had gathered for what promised to be the most contentious council meeting in recent memory. The vote on the Human Integration Protocol. Dr. Tom Reed stood nervously at the edge of the crowd, his formal attire feeling restrictive after months in a lab coat. Beside him, Captain Wren, now Ambassador Wren, appeared equally uncomfortable in her diplomatic finery. 7 months of research, 43 papers on human biology, and it all comes down to this vote, Tom muttered. Wren's expression remained carefully neutral. The council is divided. Many see humans as the salvation of the Union. Others see us as its greatest threat. Their conversation was interrupted by the approach of a Vexari diplomat, her scaled skin shimmering under the hall's lights. "Dr. Reed, Ambassador Wren," she greeted them with a formal bow. "My government remains concerned about the implications of your research." "The scientific data speaks for itself, Diplomat Thex," Tom replied. "Human biology offers unprecedented medical and technological opportunities for all Union species." "Indeed," the Vexari agreed. "But your latest findings regarding human neural plasticity are particularly troubling. No species should be able to rewrite their own neural pathways as easily as humans do. It suggests a level of adaptability that borders on the unnatural." Wren stepped forward. "With respect, Diplomat, that unnatural adaptability is why humans recovered from the Death World plague when no other species could. It's why we alone can withstand swarm radiation. These aren't threats, they're assets to the Union." The diplomat's inner eyelids flickered, a sign of discomfort. "Perhaps, but many council members question whether humans were truly designed, as your research suggests. And if so, by whom? For what purpose? Until these questions are answered, full integration remains controversial." As the diplomat departed, Tom and Wren exchanged worried glances. The evidence they'd uncovered over months of research pointed to an inescapable conclusion. Human DNA contained engineered elements that couldn't be explained by natural evolution. Someone or something had modified humanity's ancestors, subtly but unmistakably. "They're afraid of us," Wren said quietly. "Not because of what we are, but because of what we might become." Before Tom could respond, the chamber's chimes sounded, calling all representatives to the council hall. They found seats in the observer section as hundreds of diplomats filed in, taking their positions around the circular chamber. High Chancellor Vox, a venerable Arcturian, called the session to order. "We gather today to vote on Protocol 72293, regarding the full integration of humanity into all levels of Union governance, research, and defense. This would remove the provisional status currently assigned to human membership and grant unrestricted access to Union technology and resources." The chamber erupted into immediate debate. Species that had benefited from human medical breakthroughs spoke passionately in favor. Those concerned about military implications argued against. The discussion swirled around the central question that had haunted Tom's research from the beginning. Why was human biology so different? Finally, Admiral Gorth took the floor. His position had evolved considerably since his first encounter with human capabilities. "Honored representatives," he began, his powerful voice filling the chamber. "I once shared your fears about human potential. Their biology defies our understanding of evolution. Their neural pathways reconfigure under stress. Their immune systems adapt to threats in real time. Their physical endurance exceeds rational limitations." The chamber grew quiet as the respected military leader continued. "But I have seen these humans throw themselves into danger to save other species. I have witnessed their scientists work tirelessly to cure diseases that don't even affect them. Yes, they are different. Yes, they may have been engineered by some ancient intelligence for purposes we don't understand." Admiral Gorth's gaze swept the chamber. "But consider this. What if humans were created not as a weapon, but as a shield? What if their chaotic, redundant, messy biology exists precisely because the universe is chaotic, dangerous, and messy? What if they are exactly what the Union needs to survive the challenges ahead?" The chamber fell silent as his words sank in. Tom felt a surge of hope, the first he'd experienced since beginning to understand the full implications of his research. Chancellor Vox called for the vote. One by one, representatives registered their positions. The tally grew closer than anyone had predicted. When the final vote was counted, Protocol 7293 had passed by the narrowest of margins. Humanity would be fully integrated into the Galactic Union. As representatives filed out, Tom turned to Ambassador Wren. "This isn't the end of the questions. You know, we still don't know who modified human DNA or why." "No," Wren agreed. "But perhaps we're asking the wrong question. Instead of asking why human biology is so messy, perhaps we should be asking, what is coming that requires such adaptability to survive?" The question hung between them, unanswered and unsettling. The ancient archive hummed with power as systems, dormant for millennia, awakened. Deep beneath the surface of a world charted simply as GC-971, Dr. Tom Reed and Ambassador Wren followed their guide, a holographic construct that identified itself as Keeper, through chambers filled with technology, beyond Union understanding. "We detected your activation signals 3 standard months ago," Keeper explained, its translucent form gliding ahead of them. "This is the first time Protocol 17 has been initiated in 47,362 years." "Protocol 17?" Tom asked, recording everything with his scientific equipment. "The successful integration of the adapted into a multi-species collective," Keeper replied. "You call them humans. We called them our legacy." Tom and Wren exchanged glances. After the human integration protocol had passed, unusual energy signatures had been detected emanating from GC-971, a previously unremarkable world on the edges of Union space. The investigation had led them here, to what appeared to be an installation left by the same civilization that had modified human DNA. "You created us?" Wren asked, her voice steady despite the weight of the question. The hologram paused. "Not created. Adapted. Your species existed naturally. We simply enhanced your potential." The chamber opened into a vast circular room dominated by a holographic display of the galaxy. Certain regions glowed with ominous red markers. "We were the precursors," Keeper continued. "We spanned this galaxy when your ancestors were still arboreal mammals. We encountered threats you cannot imagine. Stellar anomalies, dimensional rifts, synthetic predators, biological weapons that consumed entire worlds." The hologram gestured, and the display shifted to show images of devastation on a cosmic scale. Worlds cracking apart, stars collapsing, entire systems consumed by strange energies. "For 2 million years we fought. We built technologies you would consider impossible. We reshaped planets and redirected stars. But each crisis was followed by another, each threat more dangerous than the last." "What happened to you?" Tom asked, though he suspected the answer. "We failed," Keeper said simply. "Our civilization fell to a convergence of threats we call the Cascade. But before the end, we implemented our final protocol, a legacy to help whoever came after us." The display changed to show primitive Earth, with early hominids struggling to survive. "We saw potential in your ancestors," Keeper explained. "Not intelligence or technology. Those can be developed naturally. We saw adaptability, endurance, determination. So we made subtle adjustments to your genome, modifications that would express themselves gradually as your species evolved." "The genetic markers," Tom whispered. "The redundant systems, the neural plasticity. All designed to create a species that could withstand threats that destroyed even our advanced civilization," Keeper confirmed. "Your messy biology is not inefficient. It is the most sophisticated survival mechanism ever engineered." Wren stepped forward. "Why are you revealing this now? Why activate this archive after we joined the Union?" "Because the Cascade is returning," Keeper said. The galactic display shifted again, showing the same red markers spreading across current star charts. "The threats that destroyed us move in cycles. The dimensional rifts are reopening. The synthetic predators are awakening. You call one aspect the swarm. It is merely the first harbinger." "The Union isn't prepared for this," Tom said, horrified by the implications. "No," Keeper agreed. "But humans are. Your biology was designed to withstand the Cascade, to adapt to threats that cannot be predicted, to survive conditions that should be unsurvivable, to think in ways that synthetic intelligences cannot counter." The hologram's expression became solemn. "You were our answer to an impossible problem, a species engineered not for any single threat, but for all threats. A biological system so redundant, so adaptable, so seemingly inefficient that it could evolve responses to challenges we could not even imagine." "And the Union?" Wren asked. "Were they part of your plan too?" "We hoped humanity would not face the Cascade alone," Keeper acknowledged. "The Union offers resources, perspectives, and territories across the galaxy. Humans provide the biological resilience and adaptability the Union needs to survive." Tom stared at the galactic display, watching the red indicators of the approaching Cascade. "So our messy biology, our contradictions and inefficiencies, is the greatest gift we could offer, Keeper finished. Not perfection, but the capacity to withstand imperfection. Not specialization, but the ability to adapt to anything. Not efficiency, but survival at all costs. The archive hummed louder as more systems activated, revealing vast repositories of precursor knowledge and technology, tools that would help the Union prepare for what was coming. We must warn the Council, Ren said urgently. If the Cascade is returning. Yes, Tom agreed. But now we can answer their question about why human biology is so unusual. He looked at the holographic Keeper, at the vast archive of a fallen civilization, at the warning of threats to come. Human biology isn't messy because of evolutionary accidents, he said. It's messy because the universe is messy. It's chaotic because survival in an unpredictable cosmos requires chaos. It's redundant because when extinction looms, having backup systems means life continues. Keeper nodded, its holographic form beginning to fade as the information transfer to their devices completed. You understand, then? You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be survivors, and now perhaps saviors. As they prepared to return to Union space with their discovery and their warning, Ren looked at Tom. So, after all our research, we finally have our answer. Yes, Tom agreed. Human biology is messy for the best possible reason. Because messy life, Ren finished, is better than perfect extinction.